Welcome to Player Spotlight presented by Arpielle. I'm Ted Berg. Today's spotlight shines on right-handed pitching prospect Matt Harvey. Harvey, chosen 7th overall by the Mets in the 2010 draft, began the season at Single-A St. Lucie, where he dominated for his first 4 starts before struggling for the first time in his 5th outing. We had a chance to speak to Harvey in spring training to talk about the beginning of his professional career. You came into the organization at kind of a tumultuous time. Has anything changed since you've been signed?
No, not really. I mean, I tried to work the offseason as best as I could and prepare as much as I could for the spring training. And you know, obviously, it's nice to have Terry over there on the big side, and I got to meet him and talk to him quite a bit in instruct. So, you know, all of us here, I think pretty much every guy here was an instruct. So, you know, we all know Terry, and it's nice to have that.
And how did you spend your off season?
I was in North Carolina. I worked out at the university. They gave me, you know, the whole facility to work out in and catchers to throw to. So, you know, I used that to the best of my ability and tried to prepare as much as possible.
Are there any parts of your game you're working on?
Keeping the ball down. You know, obviously every pitcher needs to keep the ball down, especially in the major leagues. You know, you don't get away with as much. So, keeping the ball down, throwing strikes, and just attacking the plate.
For Mets fans who haven't seen you play yet, you know, they're excited about you, they've heard your name. What can they expect when they see you on the mound? What type of pitcher are you?
Well, I'm going to compete, you know, no matter who's in the box, and I'm going to give it the best of my ability, and just try and fight for every pitch and keep the ball down and try and get outs.
And what are you working on? What's your goals for this season?
You know, I'd like to learn as much as I possibly can. You know, pick the older guys' brain and see what they use to get guys out. And you know, as a hitter, I'd like to see. Always like to find out what they can't hit and what they can hit. So, you know, see if other hitters are the same, and just learning process.
And are there any differences you expect from professional hitters over college hitters?
Yeah, I mean,
whether it's wood bats or anything.
I definitely, you know, I talked to Alex White, who was my teammate in North Carolina, and he pitched in Double-A, and you know, he said they just don't swing at mistakes, and you know, obviously every hitter gets better at every level, and they don't swing it as much at every level. So, you know, he said you make your pitch, and you know, it's pretty easy from there. Well, not easy, but you know, you can be more successful with attacking, keeping the ball down, and not trying to make too many great pitches.
So you get away with you know, fewer swinging strikes on breaking balls in the dirt. So.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said you don't get away with, you know, blowing it by a guy at 95, you know, over the middle, and you don't get away with bouncing a curveball. So he said you make your pitch, and you can be pretty successful.
Do you do anything specific to work to pitch to spots?
No, I really think about attacking the mitt and you know, really getting extension out there and trying to, you know, finish every pitch and really work to get to that target. I've found that, you know, once I get my sign, I take a breath and really just do everything I can for that one pitch to get to where I needed to go.
And what about your secondary stuff? You had changed your arsenal in college at some point.
I added a slider, and then I started throwing more of a two-seamer to keep the ball down and try and get ground balls, which I was able to do last year quite a bit. You know, I felt with the slider that I can control it a little bit better than my curveball, whereas I'll keep that hidden a little bit. You know, I really like throwing the slider now. I've been able to get good control with it and some good action. So,
is there anyone at the major league level you look to as sort of an example, as a guy to model yourself after?
You know, a lot of people have said Pelfrey, and you know, I love watching him throw. You know, he's the guy that, you know, I like to watch because he keeps the ball down and he gets ground balls, and you know, he works very effective. So that's obviously someone that, as a big right-handed pitcher, I'd love to model myself after.
And are you going to bring that curveball out at all this year?
Oh yeah, it'll be out. I worked on it quite a bit in the off season. I got to throw to some hitters in the off season, so yeah, it's working good right now, and I'd like to bring it out.